Good morning. Today is the last Sunday of the church's year, the feast of Christ the King. Now, if you remember, in the past, I talked about the 3 Sundays of November and how St. Matthew told 3 stories from Jesus' life. 2 weeks ago, we had the story, remember? The 2 groups of women. This group was wise, this group was foolish. Last Sunday, we had the story of 2 groups of servants. This group of servants used their abilities and their skills to make the world better. And this servant did nothing. So today we have this vision, this amazing vision of Jesus talking about the end of the world. And it says that Jesus will come and all the countries of the world will be assembled before him. And God will separate them into 2 groups. And this group on his right, and this group on his left. And God will say to this group on his right, come into heaven, this wonderful reward. Why? Because I was hungry, I was thirsty, I was a person that was alone, was isolated. I was without clothes. I was in a hospital. I was in a prison, and you took care of me. And the people say, when did we do that? And Jesus will say, when you did it for your brothers and sisters who were poor and marginalized and forgotten, you did that for me. Come to heaven. And then he will look at this group and say, I was hungry and thirsty and alone and sick and naked, put in a prison, and you did nothing. When did we see you hungry, thirsty, naked, alone, in a hospital, in prison, and not help you? And Jesus said, well, when you looked at your brothers and sisters who were poor and left, forgotten, you didn't do for me. And Jesus says, this group will go off to heaven. And this group will go off to punishment. And in the second reading, St. Paul's very clear. He's saying, we know that Jesus is risen from the dead. We know that death happens, but death does not control our lives. But remember, why did Jesus rise from the dead? And even in the very first reading, again, we see God saying, who is the shepherd? Who is the person who does God's work? It is the person who cares, who's concerned for others. So these last 3 weeks, as we think about Jesus' message, 2 weeks ago, what's the message? Be wise, not foolish. Last week's message, use God's gifts and skills and abilities to make the world better, not be lazy. And today, notice your brothers and sisters in need. And I think especially now, You know, we are less than 1 month from Christmas. I know that many people are struggling yourselves. Maybe you've lost jobs. Maybe people in your family have been sick. Maybe right now you're just kind of getting by and it's not easy. And I understand that. But there are many people who really are hungry and thirsty. Many people without homes, without clothes. Many people who are sick and in hospitals, and some people maybe who have been put in prison. What can you do? You can't do it all, I understand. And maybe it's just one person or one family, one home that you can touch, you can help, you can comfort, heal, and love. Do that. And that will make your Christmas what Christmas is supposed to be. Amen.